but your body can absorb alcohol, so you can continue drinking in different spots, right? So you can drink a beer at 3 Missions, then you can go to Old Sheepdog, then you can go to Dead Beach, you can go to Blazing Tree, you can go to Mountain Star. You can hit all the breweries in one day.
Yeah.
And even the chains know this. That's why, even BJ's, Macaroni Grill, and all these types of chains, they build it right next to each other because they know that you will have, the more people see that there's more people, the more attractive it looks, and they all make money. So that's why I think it's so important, especially for small businesses. I know sometimes it's like, we might see a slump in our sales or something because, each penny counts for a small business. And we think that those chains, maybe it doesn't matter for them. But if small businesses built on each other, so together, if you built these little districts, everybody would be making so much more money.
That makes more sense because it's like whenever, because I know the big spot here in El Paso, or the most popular one is Cincinnati, or over in Cincy, where it's all the bars and stuff, and even other places around downtown, you could do a little bit of bar hopping. I never thought about it like that, because I know there's some sort of competition there where, it's just naturally going to be there. You go to a restaurant, you're going to like their food better than another place. But I didn't know how it was with, you're like a nerd when it comes to alcohol and beer. So it's kind of cool.
I don't know about a nerd. No, I'm just kidding. It's just, we analyze the market. I've been in the market, in the service industry for about 10 to 12 years. I don't know. I don't remember how long. In the brewing industry for about 4.
Yeah.
But I've got into craft beer. I've been in craft beer a long time. So there's a lot of numbers and things that I've analyzed, that my partners have analyzed, that we know.
Yeah, because it's not just about making the beer; it's making it and then selling it.
Yeah, there's a whole logistical process to it, right? So it's not just, a lot of people think you just make the beer and sell it, but between all that, there's a lot of things, especially when you're building out. You're talking about permits, you're talking about zoning, you're talking about what kind of market are you hitting, what kind of people do you want, where are you going to price your beer, what do you think your area would pay for a beer, what type of beer sells mostly in your area. So there's a lot of things. Crazy. There's a lot to consider. It's not just, hey, well, we're going to open a business. What do they say? Open the gates and they shall come. I don't know.
Right, yeah. It's not just that.
I've never believed that. There's a lot of work that you need to put in before you start any business, I think. And of course, being in this business, well, we did our studies,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, you caught me in the middle of taking. Oh man,
this
is my favorite, by the way. The stout. Oh man, ever since the first time, because I'm a big fan of stouts anyway. And you just hit the nail on the head.
Oh, I'm glad you like it.
But that's actually a good kind of segue into how you landed here. Because I remember, since I live pretty close, I came in, I think you guys did a piece in El Paso Times maybe, or they did a piece on you, and I think you were on the picture on there. They were saying when you guys were barely. They came a couple
of times, so I was very surprised that the Times newspaper came and looked at us. But it happened out because Diego, my cousin, has a very good relationship with the local newspaper. So he said, hey, do a story on them. So we came out on the paper about 3 or 4 times, even while we were open and before we opened.
Yeah.
And it's been one of our best marketing. So apparently people still read the paper out there.
Yeah. Plus El Paso Times has a good clinch on locals, I think. We're still one of the cities that does it. How everybody says print media is dead. It's I don't think so. From what we've seen, every time we have somebody here, I always ask them, have they been here before? And if they haven't, or if I have, or I don't remember how they heard about us, I always ask them, how did you hear about us? And the newspaper, I would say, is probably 3rd or 4th best media resource that we've utilized. So the first is always word of mouth. Word of mouth has always been our best. Yeah.
Second would be Instagram, Facebook, a lot of mediums through that. And then third would probably be the newspaper.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's actually really cool. And that's when I heard about you guys. Because I think I drove past here when we went to their shop over here, with our Doomsday group. And I know I don't know if Caesar started hearing about it too that way. But I remember I came here before you were open, and I think you gave me a sample or something when I was here.
I probably did. I was giving samples. And if I had something to give, I would give it.
Yeah, and that's why. And you're also a very likable guy. Everybody loves your "Hey, ¿qué pasó?" whenever you come in.
Yeah, I know. And they even printed it on shirts as a joke, and they sold. But yeah.
Was it your partners that did it, like as a
No,
joke? Or
my cousin who prints our shirts, he put it on there. But not, I wasn't like, hey, put this. Like, he put it on. And people were like, hey, you say that. I was like, yeah, I do. It was like, I was even a little bit conscious. Yeah. After that, I was like, oh, hi, how are you? Instead of, hey, ¿qué pasó? Yeah.
But it's cool because, like, you have it's like a very simple little phrase, but you really, like, the whole look and then your voice, it just makes it like it's like a good little staple here. When you come in, it's like, hey, like Rick. But yeah, I think we skipped over that, but I was going to ask you, so when I first came and talked to you, that's when you told me about how you landed here, like with the name and how you guys found the place.
Oh, so for the location that we got.
Yeah.
So we were looking all over town, all over El Paso, Northeast, West Side, East Side, Fort Bliss, all these different places. Mm-hmm. Price wasn't right, or we just didn't like the location, whatever. But we were looking at another location, and it turns out that the owner of this location is also the owner of the other one. And he was like, look, I got this location. It was a church, a lot of work to be done, but I got a place in Socorro. And me being the native that I'm from here, because the rest of my partnership isn't. Yeah, I was like Socorro, but not because like, oh, Socorro. No, it was I grew up here the first 5 or 6 years of my life. Oh, nice. So I remember the agricultural aspect, right? So I remember the planes coming down and fumigating. The first time I shot a gun was in the backyard. I was like 4 years old, and people had animals and all these things. And for a business like this, what do you want? You want a lot of traffic. And it was like, I don't know if that would work out there. We would have to work hard. Anyways, it was like, you know what? Let's go and look at it. Who knows? We looked at all these places. We looked at all these buildings that needed a lot of work, and they were expensive and all this stuff. Well, anyways, we come, and on the way over here, I'm late to the meeting. Why? Because there's traffic. I was like, what the heck? I haven't been to this part of town. Even when I moved back, I haven't been out here. Before I started working here for like 7 years, I want to say, for a long time. You were gone for a while. And then, so I was coming down Socorro Road. I caught traffic, so I cut up and I went to North Loop. And I was like, since when the heck is North Loop a 4-way lane? Yeah. I remember it was a 2-way. Yeah. I was just so confused. I finally get here. I see the building, the aesthetic, actual Adobe right next to the Missions, on the Mission Trail. Yeah. Like, it was just like, and he says, yeah, these buildings have been here. Other people haven't even looked at them. Yeah, that he was trying to offer it. Man, right away we cut out a deal in there. Oh, and my partners, when they saw it on Google Maps, they're like, Rick, are you sure? It looks like desert. I was like, look, I might be wrong.
Was it updated
about getting it?
Like the
yeah, but it's because back there's like 6 acres. I don't know how many acres.
Really?
But it just looks like desert.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like a bunch of desert around it. So they're like, Rick, are you sure? I was like, look, I don't know, but when you guys come down, you can look. Nah. They saw it also, and they fell in love with it. We knew it was calling us, not only because we had filed as Mission Trail Brewery LLC before we got any location. So we were going to be named Mission Trail Brewery regardless of where we were at. Yeah. But it was on the Mission Trail. It was just like perfect. And there's a word, serendipitous.
Yeah, serendipity.
Serendipity. Yeah. Oh, I can never say it. But my part, basically.
It's a movie from the 90s or something like that.
Really? Well, basically what it is that everything just flowed so smooth for us. We couldn't really believe it because usually businesses, when they first start, you run into a lot of issues, right? And then we were opening during COVID. You know, we were getting our permits during all this time, the shutdowns and everything. But that's how we came to this location. And, that's how we got it. So we filed, I think it was in September of last year, as a business or LLC. We didn't get this place till August.
Was it last year? 2020?
Yeah, we haven't been open even for a year.
Yeah, so it seems like a lot longer.
It feels like 3 years, but it does. It hasn't even been a year that we've been open to the public.
I mean, because we've gotten drunk here a lot, right? I mean, for people who can't see, Craig is here. He's part of the Doomsday, and he's a regular here too, right?
Yeah, regulars. Mr. Craig.
Mr. Craig, yeah. But it does seem like we've been here. I mean, we've been getting hammered here quite a bit, right?
Yeah, sometimes I have to kick them out. No.
A couple times. But yeah, so you guys have, for 2020. I mean, that it's right. It's not like it sounds right. Of course it's right. Wow. And then you guys and then you guys changed the name too, right? Like you guys updated.
Yeah, we had to change the name. We ran into some issues with a cidery in California that had the same name. But I think a lot of it, now kind of thinking about it, it's because all of California was shut down. Even parts of California now are still shut down. So a lot of these people are struggling for money. They're trying to find any way to make some cash. So,
Right.
I mean, I'm not saying that what they did is right, but we had, instead of going into a lawsuit, we could have gone into, but we're a brand new company. You know, you don't want to put your company through that kind of stress being so young.
Yeah.
Right. When you start a company, it's like a baby. It's like a human.
Uh-huh.
You know, one of my old bosses would say that. He said it's like a human. You know, it's barely learning how to walk. It's not even 2 years old.
Yeah.
Right. You know, so you can't put it through some type of stress like that.
That
So
makes
we just
sense.
decided, we'll just change the name. So we went from Mission Trail Brewery, and we're 3 Missions Brewery.
Through Missions
Yeah.
Brewery.
So we gave credence not only to Socorro but to the whole valley,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because of the 3 missions that are out here, and so yeah, we're the Valley's Brewery. We become the Valley's Brewery.
Yeah. That's cool. So you said you were away. So this is where all your partners are from, right? Like somewhere in Kansas or something?
Yes, they're from Kansas.
So did you go to college over there? Did you go to school?
No. I met them at my old job. So I used to work at another brewery
Uh-huh.
called Blazing Tree Brewery, and they were regulars there for about 2 or 3 years. And when they found out that I had left, they called me up and they said, "Hey, have you thought about starting a brewery?" I was like, "Not in Kansas.
So
you
what
know,
do
I
you
want to
mean-
stay in El Paso."
Yeah. So wait, what do you mean?
And they
came
agreed
here?
also.
Like
Yeah,
they were-
it's because one of them is married to a native El Paso, and so they would just come and visit. So the way people visit Chico's Tacos, they would go to Blazing Tree Brewery. They would land, boom, go straight over there.
Oh, that's cool.
So I built a really good relationship with them, and so just a friendship, and then it turned into a partnership. You know, so now we're friends, we're partners, and we work very well together. I'm the only one that lives here, but they come down and they help me out and they work and they, you know. So that's it. Took all of us to build this place,
yeah.
all of us. So yeah.
So then, what do you guys have planned? Because I know you guys have gotten a good relationship with Casa Ortiz, and then over here it's Casa Apodaca, right?
Yeah, so Casa Podaca. So there's 3 buildings in this property, I guess you could say. But so this was known as La Casa Redonda, and it's the youngest building.
Oh, this actual building?
Yeah, this building.
Oh, okay.
It was built. So we didn't know between 1930 to 1970. Some people said no, it must have been older. People said no, it's younger. Well, I went online.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, when was this thing? And Redfin says it was built in 1954. Probably remodeled in 1976. There's a stamp up there to make it look like
never
the other
noticed.
buildings over there. So here we really don't know too much about it. We just know they used to sell furniture, and the people that owned it used to live in the back. And sure enough, there's all these like hookups for like trailers and RVs and stuff back there.
Oh, okay. It
So,
does
yeah.
kind of give that vibe.
Yeah, it was like, so you could come here and they would sell the furniture. And I think it was called La Casa Redonda because of that room over there.
Right,
If you want to film later or whatever you
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
do. But it's a round adobe part of the building. But the oldest building in the area is Casa Ortiz. So it was built even like late 1700s. On the plaque it says
What?
early 1800s. But for sure, that's the oldest one. It might be the oldest building in the area, older than
Wow.
the Mission. So the Mission, the original place, was washed out by the river. So at one point,
It started falling apart, or
no, this was an island. So the river used to cut this into 2, and it was built in the middle of the island, and it was washed out. Can you tell I like a lot of history?
yeah, no, and
Yeah, and
that's,
this is stuff that I've seen in the records hall in San Elizario, and also things. I get some historians in here.
yeah.
And some archaeologists. I've never met an archaeologist till I worked here.
Oh wow,
Yeah, so like some Indiana Jones people. You know? But so it was washed off. So the place where the Mission is now is not the original place. It was by Bulldog Park. And if you see right now, they're doing some excavations there. So there's a lot of, you can see part of where the foundation was of the church and everything. A lot of people that live in that area, since it was washed off, they don't know where the cemetery was. So a lot of people say, no, in my house, I experienced a lot of spooky things, right?
Oh right.
So Casa Ortiz is older than that. So Casa
Wow.
Ortiz has a lot to do with the salt wars, the Comancheros. It has a lot to do with, just the Butterfield Trail. So a lot of history there. That one's so old and so well known. It has a Texas plaque. So the state
Yeah.
of Texas says this is historical. We know that a lot of things happened here in this building.
You know what the problem? Every time I go over there is I'm already like 2 or 3 beers in, so I never remember what that plaque says, like verbatim. But I've read it a few times just before you go in there.
Yeah, check it out. I mean, it says legend has it because there's so much. It's known that it's very old, that a lot of things happened there, but a lot of it wasn't really well recorded. But for sure it did happen because they've seen it in some records. But it's not as well recorded as, like, for example, the Presidio in San Elizario, right? Then
it's hard. 'Cause, like, it's hard to keep a record of stuff. Like, now it's so easy because everything's on a computer or whatever. But back in the day, you had to, like, write all this stuff down.
Well, yeah, because now,
stuff.
I mean, we have cameras. Like, right now, somebody can look at this 1,000 years from now, if that camera's still working, and be like, oh, this was filmed whenever. But back then, if somebody didn't record it, if somebody did, it's lost in history.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why there's archaeologists and historians that this is their job, or that's what they volunteer to do, because they just love the history of the area so much. And then, so that's Casa Ortiz, and then there's Casa Podaca, which is it's a beautiful hacienda-looking home.
Oh, yeah.
With
really
a lot of rooms in it. So right now over there is El Charlatan, which is a ramen and taco shop, and then Cocol, they just opened up. They have great coffee, also very good food, and a couple of different artists. Casa Ortiz now, what they're using it for is an art gallery. So you'll see people like Gabriel Marquez, Mario, Diego Robot, and they do different shows, and we work a lot with them.
We'll put all their social media up here somewhere.
Yeah, check it up. I mean, it's really cool. So whenever we throw our different events and we have different art, sometimes we'll pair it up with beer. We'll have different food and things. I mean, it's become a really grassroots area where we're introducing a lot of things that are native to here. So like, even like a lot of my beers, I brew things with pomegranate. I brew things with like local honey. I want to use a lot of local ingredients. I'm getting a quince beer out. I need to work on a fig beer. And then of course,
beer.
because I mean, those things grow like wild bushes out here. I mean, it's just, and we grew up eating that.
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of us as kids, we grew up eating that. So like, we're trying to introduce these flavors in beer for the public. Of course, I got like our IPAs, our blondes, and everything. You got to have some regular tasting beer.
Yeah, of course.
You know, but also the same thing is happening with the art over there. There's a lot of local artists that, of course, they grew up on this side, you know, but they have a lot of that Hispanic influence. So very colorful art. I don't know if you're familiar with the art in Mexico, but a very colorful.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you see a lot of the Frida Kahlo things and all these things, like we had a Frida Kahlo art show, and everybody had the unibrows and they're dressing up like her, and they had a competition. But you have this Americanized taste to it, which is very unique to the borderline. We live in a very unique part of the world.
We do.
Right? And a lot of the culture and all that is, and food is now going to other places around the world. Like here, we always eat avocados. Now it's become like, oh, you eat avocados, like you're eating some fancy food.
Yeah, and we grew up eating
it in a tortilla
with your
salt.
menudo,
you know, whatever,
Sundays.
you know, you eat it.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then the same thing is happening with the restaurants and the coffee shop. But yeah, it's a beautiful area. If you want something unique to the area, come on down and try our beer, food. And check out our art.
I never thought about like all the, because I mean, like I said, we've been here a lot, right? But I never really thought about all the local stuff that you do try to put into the beer to make it, to give it like a staple that we're from here.
Yeah.
And that's really cool. Because, I mean, that's specifically what the podcast is for. It's like just keeping things local and kind of highlighting it to see, it's like, hey, this is why, and this is why you were my guest. Or I was a guest and you're in the brewery today.
Oh, well, yeah, right.
It was cool. So, go ahead.
No, go for it.
So what I was going to ask is, like, where did the idea of actually starting a brewery come from? Like, I don't know if it's something that you always wanted to do.
No, actually, I mean, I worked at the other brewery for the first like year or half year. I was serving and making beer, and then the last years that I was there, I was managing it. But I never really thought about going back into the industry when I left. I actually left to try and go and open up a restaurant.
Okay.
And then I was thinking about starting a welding business or something, but I a lot of people.
Welding, that's cool.
Yeah, something. I still want to do
Something
that.
very manly. You could still do it. Well, I don't know.
No, yeah, I will. I think we're getting this place to run with employees itself. So eventually, I could be hands off. Of course, you still have to oversee your company.
Yeah, of course.
But I wouldn't have to be the guy washing your dishes and doing podcasts. No, I'm just kidding. No, I would still do the
serving
podcast.
beer,
or brewing the beer or anything like that. And it's happening. Like right now, Aiden back there, great brewer. He's washing out the kegs. He's kegging. Before it was me having to do all that stuff and brewing and so that's changing up. But
we've seen that. Like, and then I know on your business card that the guys made for you. Like it says you're. It's got that long name where you're. What is it? The jack of all trades of the company.
Oh yeah, it says Swiss Army knife.
Swiss Army man,
of the
I
company.
think.
So
right?
Swiss Army knife. So whatever the company needs. I'll do. If it needs construction, I'll do it. If it needs to brew, I'll do it. If it needs manage, if it needs paperwork, if it needs errands ran, if it needs whatever it needs, I'll do it.
And we've seen it. Like whenever we come in just to come in to drink and everything, we've seen you. Like I remember I've seen you a few times where you look really kind of stressed out, but you're still willing to do everything, which is cool.
Part of owning a company.
Yeah.
And then also I have a family at home. I just have I have a newborn. He's gonna be like 2.5 weeks.
Congratulations.
He's gonna be like 3 weeks. Yeah, and then I have my firstborn who's a year old, a little bit over a year old, and but yeah, it's but there's something.
And this is your other baby.
Yeah, there's another baby. That's what a company is. And
yeah.
then you have your wife and your family life, and you try and balance those things.
Oh yeah.
That's why I'm super grateful for my partners. Like, they come down and they help out with so many things where I can have some time with my family and stuff.
That's cool because we've met them and they're all cool. Like,
oh yeah,
cool
they're awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You moved away from El Paso? Like you came back?
Yeah, I was gone between 2012 and 2015. That's where I got my degree in welding. So I got an associate's degree in welding with some principles in engineering. And then I started studying at UTEP engineering. I didn't finish. And then that's when I was working at the brewery. And I really enjoyed working.
Yeah, you could tell. I mean, something tells me you enjoy it a little too much.
It's it's the best of both worlds because I love people and I get to work with things back there. So you get a little bit of both.
Yeah.
And also owning a business, you're never bored. There's always something different. You're never doing the same thing, So, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that's what I was going to ask is, like, whenever we first came in, you actually gave me a little tour of, like, all the stuff back there. And you were explaining to it really technically. And that's why I saw, like, I called you a nerd, I guess. But you did start explaining all this stuff that honestly, I can't remember. I'm not going to try. And I was like, oh, man, like, that's crazy because you have to talk about, like, I don't know the whole process of making beer. It's like, and the first time that I came, and I think you like giving tours to people. You like to show.
Yeah, I like, especially
do,
people, right? How could I say, everybody drinks. Right, it's rare. If somebody doesn't drink, we're like, "What the heck is wrong with this person? They better be on medication."
Well, usually, what I've heard is like, "Oh, it's because they used to drink,
and then they don't
so
anymore."
That's why they don't.
And that's another thing. It could be that, but it's because also brewing culture is so different. So a lot of people they come in, they drink, but they've never thought about somebody made that. Even the Bud Light that you drink, or the Miller, somebody's making that. So it's fascinating to be like, we all do this, and it's never crossed our minds that somebody made it.
Yeah, there's like a thought.
So when you start going through the process, they're like, wow, like this is how it's made. And it's very unique because not brewing and distilling and all those things, it's kind of, it's lost, in the sense of that. I mean, there's people that are doing it now for businesses. Some people do it at home brewing, but that you can't just be like, oh, let me go and find a brewer off the street. Like, you have to go to certain places to find people like that do that. You have to go to a home brew shop. You have to go to a brewery. You have to go to a distillery, a winery, a cidery. And it's not just like the brewers that I have now, they've never brewed. We had to train them to learn how to brew, So it's very hard to find people that just make beer. It's not a common thing.
Yeah.
Not that it's rare, but it's not common. So when people realize, oh, okay, it's made, and then all the work that's put in, the time that it takes to make beer.
Yeah.
Right? Because some people, like, if I'm missing a beer, they're like, oh, we'll go back there and make some. I'm like, well, it doesn't work that way.
That's what I've heard. It takes
2
like
weeks
months
to a month. It could be months, depending if you're doing a lager or something. It takes a while.
Yeah. And I noticed that because I went to, like, I know, I think it was from Breaking Bad. I don't know if you're big on, like, TV shows and stuff. No. Well, there's this guy. He's like Schrader or something like that, and he makes his own beer. And he's like this weird kind of comedic thing about it. But yeah, he starts talking about how like, oh, that's got to brew for like a month or whatever. And that's when you start thinking it's like, oh, like this isn't something you could just like make over a weekend. Like it takes months. I was at another brewery here in town. I think it was Old Sheepdog. And the guy was, we were talking about it. He's like, oh, it's like, yeah, this keg or this barrel is brewing for October. And it was probably like May. And I was like, okay. Like,
yeah, so it was probably an Oktoberfest. It was probably a fest beer because fest beers, they take that long. If you make a true fest beer, I think you make it in March. And then you let it sit. Lager, literally, that's what the word means, to store.
Oh, really?
So monks would store this stuff for months at a time underneath their monasteries or in caves because that's where it was cool enough. And then that's how you get a nice, clear beer. And those beers are excellent, but it is very time-consuming.
And then you have to, like, check them every day just to make sure everything's, like...
Yeah, so I taste my beers every day just to see, and if I'm not content with one, I chuck it.
Oh, man. Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah,
like, I can imagine working on something for...
Yeah,
like, I mean, a month even.
I mean, I've tried to sell like some of those beers before, especially at my old job and stuff. But you know what? It's not worth it. Sometimes, a lot of the time, the clientele is like, really, they feel like they don't like it.
Yeah.
They know the product isn't up to par. It's just better to just kind of chuck it out. And,
right. Yeah.
You eat the cost, but it's going to cost you a lot more if people are tasting that beer and saying, well,
you start losing customers and stuff like that.
Now, if something doesn't come out exactly the way I want it to, but it's still sellable, I'll keep it on tap. But if you get something that's just like undrinkable, unsmellable, just chuck it. All right? Don't try and sell it.
Oh, man. There's a lot of beer drinkers that are going to be mad at that.
Yeah, a lot a people, they get mad when I check out beer. Yeah.
But I never heard. This is the first time hearing about it. It's pretty upsetting.
Yeah.
So whenever you ended up at Blazing Tree, was that like your first like brewer beer job?
So I worked in the service industry.
Yeah.
And then also as kids, me and my brothers would make alcohol.
What do you mean?
Anyways, but
anyway.
I hope there's nothing illegal about that. But, well, there was something illegal. But I'm talking about we were like 12, 13 years old. And we just like science a lot. We saw National Geographic Channel, how they used to make alcohol in jail. And it was perfect enough. We learned that. And we also learned how to make tattoos. So we got tattoos when we were like 11, 12 years old.
Wow.
Things like that. But we were just like curious kids doing stupid things.
Yeah.
But one of my brothers got really good at it. Really good at making a spirit. And,
nice.
And I was okay at it, but he was very good at it. But fast forward, I'm in college. I need a job. I go and work at a restaurant, and there I learned about a lot of different beers. You get a lot of different craft beers on tap and everything.
Yeah.
Start going to these breweries in Dallas, go through all the process, how it's made, tours.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then one time we went to a pilgrimage in Philadelphia. We had an emergency landing in St. Louis. So we had like 8 hours to spare. Guess where we go to? Anheuser-Busch Brewery. I mean, these massive tanks. Show you where they have the horses and all these things. This is like in 2013, 2014.
Oh, nice.
So
I've actually been to that brewery too.
It's impressive. I mean,
it is.
That's
where like all of the beer comes from.
Yeah,
right?
a lot of people are like, we don't drink that or whatever. But you know what? When you work in the craft, to understand the logistics and like how to always get that product tasting the same, doesn't matter if it's in New York, El Paso, Denver. I mean, that's hard. Dude, there's some breweries that have had even trouble just maintaining the carbonation in their beer because if the elevation, like let's say if I keg some or put some beer in a bottle right now, right, and then I send it to a high elevation, they'll blow up.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
You know, so how do you regulate that CO2?
Oh wow.
You know, these guys are regulating CO2. They transport it. You know, and they're saying, well, it's going to this city, so we got to make sure it's brewed like this and maintain these CO2 levels to make sure that we don't have bottle bombs. Oh, you know, how do you like?
That's true.
Down to things like that. How do you transport it?
You know, now that you mention that,
like,
what the reason I've been to those breweries is because like I used to be a truck driver, and one of the ones that I went to, and I remember it was in Golden, Colorado. They also have an Anheuser-Busch over there, and I'm guessing their elevation's like super high compared to here. And I used to bring beer here. Like the beer loads down I-25. Yeah. And that's a massive change in elevation.
Yeah, like thousands of feet. I mean, the gas laws, you know, they're there. So they're, you know, anyways, but it's just like, so you learn about these companies and you see, man, how massive they are. And to always have the product tasting the same throughout the country, throughout the world. Yeah. How is it not admirable? Now, do I think that they overuse their product and that people are always drinking theirs and not supporting local businesses? Of course, you know. But to see those businesses and the way they run their operations is, I mean, it's a well-oiled machine. And you have maybe thousands of employees, and I don't know how many breweries across the nation. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah. You know? It's really cool when you break it down in like to perspective, how much thought has to go into it. Yeah. Wow. So how, like, what was the jump from wanting to work and then like, because I mean it takes balls, right, to do that jump to like, hey, like I work at a place where I serve beer and I'm with the customers, to actually wanting to do it. Like, was it just your idea? Like somebody told you?
What do you mean wanting to do it?
Yeah, like, do you actually wanted to become a brewer? Like, did you start doing it at home? And you're
no. It's because so I left Dallas, and like I told you, I came over here. I was studying engineering, metallurgical and material science at UTEP, and then from there, it just I didn't like it. To tell you the truth, a lot of people like, and I still like a lot of the property. I love welding, so I thought metallurgy, but metallurgy is a whole other.
What does that mean? I haven't even heard.
Metallurgy, so that, I mean, you're studying like different like you don't just find aluminum beams laying out in the middle of nowhere, right? So you got to break down the rock, and extract the aluminum with certain process, and you study that for the processes, and then you also study different structural properties. So like, for example, why do things break and how do they break and why do certain materials break a certain way? And see, it is fascinating, but when you get down to the grit science, the formulas and stuff like that, it's not for everybody. It's not for me, you know. And but like the concepts were super fascinating to me. Well, anyway, so I'm studying this and I need another job. I'm working as a math and chemistry tutor at a local high school.
Oh, nice.
I'm looking to save up. And my uncle opened up a brewery. Now he's not owner of it, but he opened up. He's one of the ones that was the original owner of Blazing Tree. Said, "Hey Rick, you've served beer before, right?" I was like, "Yeah." He's all, "Look, I'm opening up a brewery. We need somebody to serve." Yeah. So I was like, "All right, sure." So I was their first server.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So opening day, besides the owners, of course, the owners served and stuff. Opening day there and everything. And if you haven't been there, go and check it out. It's on Rojas Litrino. Very hidden spot.
It is.
But once you get there, they have good beer. So I was there for a few months, and then I ended up getting a management position. And while I was serving, I would go back and brew with the guys because I liked all that. I saw it was very mechanical, so I went back there and help them out or whatever. And then we finally did our first brew, me and the head brewer. I ended up becoming GM. The head brewer took care of all the brewing stuff. And yeah, so that's how it worked. So it wasn't really, how could I say, it wasn't like really a jump into the unknown.
Yeah, you kind of,
I broke in
you did
slowly. Yeah. And maybe that's the way I've tried it. There's some people that are just like, let's do this. And that's great, you know, and you can. But really, my schooling was that brewery. Once I learned everything I could from that brewery. I utilized those tools not only to open up this brewery, but just like the way I've learned to manage a business, right? Yeah. Like I said, there's a business, there's a lot of operating parts onto it, and a lot of people, they just see the front, you know, but they don't see everything that goes on behind it. Right. So that's where I learned a lot of those things there. And then, I left to go and try and open up that restaurant. I got a lot of calls from people trying to open up breweries, people that own breweries that wanted me to work for them. and I just didn't like the opportunity. I wanted something that was mine. I got with my partners. We worked out a deal.
I understand that. Yeah.
You know, so I have something that's mine.
Yeah.
Here, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Mine. So
that's cool. Because like you do, man. Like every single time. I mean, even if you're not here, like we could tell, it's like, oh, he probably deserves a day off. Because every single time that we've been in here, and
I hope so. Shit. So many people are like, you weren't here. I'm like, yeah. Eventually, I don't want to be here. You know,
we've said that a few times too.
I know people act like you didn't come to work. Like, that's why I own a business. I don't want to. You know.
Yeah. So and one of the cool things that we've seen, like personally, I've seen it is like little changes here and there, to like over here at the patio, you guys started adding some like landscaping stuff, like when the tables came in. Yeah. It's kind of cool to see it. And then now you guys have the back patio, right?
Yeah, we have the back patio and stuff. So that was one thing we always are, like the partners, you choose them like a marriage. You can't be exactly the same. There's no such thing as two exact human beings that think exactly the same.
Right.
But I think that's also your strengths. But at the core of the company, we have a lot more similarities than differences. So meaning like one of them that we wanted to do is to make sure that we grew.
Okay.
You know, and we put ourselves times. Okay, so from here to here, if this is what we're predicting that we can make, this is what we can buy. And from here to here, this is what we can do. And from here to here, you set yourself goals.
Like timelines.
Yeah, timelines, goals, and everything. And it's worked. You know, within, I mean, some timelines we had to like speed up.
Right.
Because like I had smaller tanks back there. I was working I thought I was going to be here by myself for 3 years. I didn't think we were going to make as much. I didn't think we were going to get as much hype as we did.
Uh-huh.
You know, just to give you a little bit of an example, we set a number, right?
Mm-hmm.
Set a number. We've already surpassed that number 3 times for the year, and
Wow.
our year hasn't even come by.
Nice.
So, like, you know, like we thought, okay, so obviously with that, guess what? Now you need employees. Rick, you can't be here by yourself. We extended days. Okay, you know what? These tanks aren't doing it because I have 4 little black tanks. I don't know if you've seen them, the small ones.
I think. And
I thought, okay, you know, I can brew in the morning, come here at night, and then serve. And we were only going to be open 3 days initially during the week. So, like, with that, anyways, so those were the timelines that we knew that we broke.
Yeah.
Right? Because it was like, okay, we need bigger tanks, we need employees, we need bigger kettles to support those big tanks, all these things. But with the growth of it, with the patios especially, that's helped out a lot. And coming up, for sure, this next year, we're going to have a food truck too. So now you're going to have a food source. Mm-hmm. And guess who's going to be running that? Yeah, you know, I'll be doing it. Yeah. So like, you know, so those are things, and then trainings and stuff like that. And what works, what doesn't work, and all that kind of stuff. I'm
not going to need to go home. I could just eat and drink here.
That's exactly what we want, because that's been one of our biggest issues is that, we've had trucks that just kind of falter. They can't be here, whatever reason. Right. And it's just like, well, then why don't we do that part on our own? Yeah. So within a year's time, we'll have a truck, we'll have a food source. Mm-hmm. I mean, not a year's time, within next year, we'll have a food source that will be ours, and our customers can enjoy. And whenever we're open, you know that there's food. You don't have to leave here and stop drinking. You can eat here and continue drinking.
Yeah, and then like I know the food trucks that you guys have had, like they'll bring the food in here. It's like, hey, we'll take them to your table.
No, with us, you got to come up to it. No, I'm just kidding. No, we'll do it. I don't know. We'll see. Those are things.
Like, no, you got to go out to.
I know. You got to go outside and get your food. We give you your beer, but you got to go outside to get your food.
Man, you're gonna be running both the food truck and the
bar.
That's
why. So like now we're gonna have somebody helping run the brewery, so they're gonna be making schedules and things, ordering things for the brewery, and then we have somebody that's gonna be running this side. So I'll still be overlooking the whole operation, but a lot of things I'm gonna kind of back off, and we have these people that are going to be able to do it, the reports and things like that now, and then I'll be building a new part of the company. So, you know, I think, and people have seen that, right? So I think people like growth. If you do support a company, right, and you go and you have a beer or 2 there every week, don't you want that your beers are helping that company grow and saying like, hey, we helped this place grow. Yeah. You know, so
it's like, I remember when it was just Rick, just by himself.
Yeah, you know, and that seems like years ago, but it was this last year. It was in February. Like that's when it happened.
Like 6 months ago.
Yeah, you know, or whatever it is. But you know, and I think and you see more people come and you create these relationships. You do podcasts with people, you know, and that's how could I say? I was trying to explain this the other day, but it was so hard to explain, but I'm going to try again.
Okay.
On here. Yes, I make a product. We make beer. And I think a lot of the time companies concentrate too much on the product.
Yeah.
Because my focus, I mean, you do need to have a product, right? You need to have a product that you can sell. It has to be good. You want it excellent if possible. But more importantly, that product can be as good as you want, but if nobody's buying it, if nobody supports you, how do you have a business? The people that maintain your business are human beings. They're people.
Right.
You know, it's people that maintain your business. So it's like we create this beer and we do all this, but I like the experience that I give people.
Yeah.
That the building gives people, that my partners have given, that my staff gives, you know? And see, I've created a relationship with you and you're like, hey, let's do the podcast. It's like, heck yeah, let's go ahead and do it, you know? Right. And I think that it's super critical.
Yeah, I think so. You do have a good personality for it. I think everybody sees it, and that's why people keep coming back. Because you do have like regulars, like there's people that whenever we come in, we see it's like, oh, like I remember that guy from last week or whatever, and you'll like it is also like as important as the product that you're doing or that you're putting out.
It is, and the product will come. You know, I think right now my beer is okay. I think it could be better. I think you should always try and advance product. You should always try and make it better and better. And again, it's like a company. You don't want it to just sit stale. You want to move it. It needs to be alive. It needs to be growing. Yeah. And I think it's and that's where we're at too. The same thing with staff. The same thing with people. You never want to be the same. You know, I try and learn something, at least one more thing before I go to sleep. Learn one more thing before you go to sleep, and you'll see how your life changes. Just one more thing. Read a book for 30 minutes. A night, and you'll see how that changes your life. Yeah, you know, because it's just like, I mean, there's so much out there. Life's too short to just be doing one thing. There's so many things to learn, so many things to do, so many people to meet.
Yeah.
You know, and I think those relationships is what's really, really critical.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, I know I go off on tangents.
No, that's fine. That's what the podcast is for. Because, like, I mean, and that's what one of the reasons why I wanted to do it. And with you is just for that same reason. It's like you're not just enjoying the beer, because that's, I mean, yeah, granted, it seems like that's the most part of it, but it's so cool to be able to walk in. I mean, like we were just saying, the whole "Hey, ¿qué pasó?" thing.
I know.
Like that's the whole.
I still don't like that. I mean, it was like, but then a lot of people were like, "Hey,"
I didn't know that. Oh man, we gotta stop bringing it up.
No. I mean, it's just funny. It's like, oh man, you gotta laugh about it. I mean.
Yeah, that's true. But like I said, it just your personality. It's one of those. It's a part of the thing that it just becomes like you become a staple. And I think you're getting a very good response here in Socorro, right, in the community.
Oh yeah,
because I know we've seen the growth. So like you could tell that people are like appreciate the brewery, you, and yeah, like you said, all those things kind of came together to bring. It's like that serendipitous thing that you said. Everything came together to work like this really good brewery.
Yeah, I think we've been very blessed, and again, it's the people. The people here in the valley have liked it, and that's why our numbers have been better than what we could ever predict. I mean, you get so many people that like El Paso's market is a Bud Light market, a Natty Light market, and a lot of those people that like that now, instead of going down to the corner store and buying themselves a 40, they come down and they're like, you know what, I'd rather drink this.
Yeah,
and they know it's a little bit more expensive, but they enjoy it. And why I think, the product, but I think a lot of it has to do with the environment that's been presented to them.
Yeah,
and that's
too.
what they've liked.
Yeah.
They've liked the environment. They like the music. They like the people. You know, and that's why a lot of those people that don't drink anymore because of beer, I think that's, or I don't know. I mean, I think there's people that shouldn't drink, right? Because, man, maybe they know like, oh, my personality changes or whatever. But those people that kind of see down upon like, oh, those bars and people stay out. It's like, no, there's, I think there is cultures like breweries where you have people who have built it, and it becomes like, I get families in here all the time. Yeah. People bring in their dogs. You know, they come in, they enjoy beer. It's rare that I get anybody to get real drunk, you know? It's a different environment. Yeah,
because it's not just about going out. It's like not like going out to a bar where it's like, oh, let's keep drinking until, you know, we get wild. Here, it's like, let's go enjoy a beer.
Yeah, I agree. So, I'm very happy to do this podcast with you, and
So
Yeah,
what do you have
glad
as far
you
as
chose
beer?
it.
We could probably
Right now, the
close
beers.
with your beers.
So the one that you're drinking, that's the churro stout made
Yeah.
with vanilla, caramel, cinnamon, brown sugar. That cranked in at 6.5%. Just a nice sweet, a hint of sweetness. So if people don't like dark beer, they might like that one.
This is my
All right?
favorite.
Yeah, a lot of
Churro
people that are like, oh, I don't like that, but you drink it, it's good. We also have our pecan beer, so that's made with local pecans from JC Pecan Farms from Clint, half a gallon of vanilla, a hint of chocolate malt, Maris Otter, and USO5 yeast. That one cranks in at 11.63.
A pecan?
Yeah, it's a high alcohol, high octane beer. Then,
Nice.
yeah, so then after that, I think we have, so the 5 C's IPA made with 5 different hops that start with C, Citra, Chinook, Challenger, Cascade, Centennial hops. That's made with Kavik, which is a rediscovered strain that the Vikings would use of yeast. Hints of peach, mango, ferments really hot, anywhere between 72 to 104 degrees, when most yeast, ale yeast ferments at about 68 degrees, 63 to 68.
So that one's gonna, like, when you're brewing, that one's gotta be hot.
Yeah,
gonna
that
be-
one stays hot. Our tanks are insulated enough to keep it hot. And also, since you have fermentation, naturally it wants to heat up.
Oh, okay.
Right? So it's creating alcohol, CO2. So, yeah.
Wow.
Then we have our butter cup. So that's porter. It's made with peanut butter. That's self-explanatory. A lot of people like the chocolate on that. Then we have our blonde ale, just a light, crisp beer, like a normal tasting style beer. So if people are like, no,
Right.
I just want a beer that's the blonde, and that's my favorite on tap. Cranks in at 6.27%, made with Challenger hops, a hint of Vienna, and two-row malt. All right. Then we have, I think this one's flipped, but that's our pomegranate beer. So that's made with local honey from Ceballos Honey Farm from Fabens, Texas. Pomegranate juice, apple juice, and corn. So yeah, that's our best seller. So a lot of people, the pomegranate. A lot of people have enjoyed that.
That's really good.
We have our New England IPA, hints of guava, mango, but not because of the fruit that's in it. It's hops. All right. So New England's the process that you make it. It's like you're extracting all that hop juice, and that hop juice is giving out those types of flavors. It's made with El Dorado and Citra, about 25% wheat, then brewer's malt with S33 yeast. And then lastly, we have, that's our flagship. It's a brand new one. It's a Pilsner beer.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I haven't seen that.
Yeah, so Pilsner, it's like a normal tasting style beer.
Right.
So people that, again, it's similar to the blonde, a little bit less flavor on it. So anybody who's like, even the blonde's like a little bit too much, that one just goes down like water.
What does Pilsner mean? Because I know I've seen that a
So
lot.
there's a
I've never
town in the
understood.
Czech Republic called Pilsen.
Okay.
And that's where that style of beer comes from. I've been there.
Yeah, you've
so
been there.
like Miller is a Pilsner style beer.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then I'll always have different types of things coming out. Like I know you guys tried El Grinch,
Yeah.
which was a Schwartz beer made with peppermint and chocolate.
That was good.
Yeah, right. A lot of people enjoyed that one. Also, I have a tank reserved for my brewers where they get to brew whatever the heck they want. All right. So most of these are my babies, but my brewers get to do, they have a tank where, hey, you know what? We want to make this. All right, great. In fact, they made one that was so good that I'm going to have as a flagship. It's not up there, but it will be up there probably this next week. It's called the Copperhead. So it tastes like a Bock. I mean, a beautiful color, similar to Shiner and all those, but a lot better. I mean, it's just an excellent beer. So we're going to make that into a flag. We'll keep it on tap forever.
Oh, nice. Well, we'll be here to try that one.
All right.
Next
Sounds
week.
good.
It's
So,
the
yeah.
first day. I don't know. Anything else you want to bring up? Any plans?
Yeah,
for the
come and
next
visit
year?
us. 10179 Socorro Road, Socorro, Texas, 79927. We're open Tuesday through Sunday. We have gift cards. You can also come and join our mug club. So our mug club for $100, you get all these benefits, including 75 cents off each pour. So if you just come and get one beer for 52 weeks and you buy that mug club, you make your money back. Then we have also a mug club plus for $160. You get all those benefits plus you get one free growler fill a month. All right. So just in about 4 months, you make your money back. All right. And we'll get you a mug that has your name specifically made for you. Those would come around in February. Then we would also have a certain shirt, any types of benefits or anything. You come first. So we'll email them to you into your account.
Is it kind of like this one or like the other ones? The mugs.
One? No, I think we're gonna. No, they're gonna
It's
be
a different kind
Those
of
are
mug.
from the Dollar Tree that now sells it to you for $1.25. No, we're gonna have better mugs than that. All right.
Oh,
With our
nice.
nice print and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, just come on down, support us, support the other local businesses that are here. It's a new, thriving area. And like I said, if you want something that's super unique here in El Paso County, this is a place to come to. Not only because we make the beer, but just our architecture. A lot of architects have come down, not only from El Paso, but like from other places that they're studying architecture. And this is a place that they chose because of the type of architecture that we have.
Yeah. That's why I love the area too, because like I think, and I told you this before, like I rebuilt my house, like I saved. It was my grandma's house, so I kind of saved it, and it's an adobe house. And that's one of the things that when I passed by, where you get, I think you still had like a tarp for the sign. Like
maybe, we still have it.
That's what like really caught my eye, because I was like, dude, like that's cool, because it's very throwback. And it's like a warmth to it. And that's what I liked about it.
Yeah, and I think the adobe, like a lot of people say, Santa Fe architecture. Well, that architecture didn't start in Santa Fe. It started down here.
Yeah.
Spaniards came through here first before anywhere else. And the architecture is unique to the area here.
Yeah. That explains the logo, right? Because I know
exactly.
a lot of those things went
well,
into designing
we
the
say
logo.
Spaniards, but actually from when I think Hernan Cortés went down to Mexico all the way till they came to this part of the New World, it was already 100 years have passed by. So it was basically mestizos.
Yeah.
Already by that point that came in from Mexico City. So you didn't have completely Spaniards, completely native. It was people who were already mixed with it. And they came to this area and they called it El Paso del Norte, and it was a pass to Santa Fe, to Holy Faith.
Right.
So just come on down. A lot of history if you want to talk to me about whatever. Also, our staff is super friendly, super great, and they have a lot of knowledge about beer.
Yeah.
All right. So